Now, I thought I would just give a little historical background. Now, the Archduke Charles, who I believe is the younger brother of Ferdinand I, Emperor of Austria, he was engaged against Messina in the Italian campaign. And Mack went to Bavaria. That's when Napoleon turned around and surrounded Mack with lightning moves. Now, the Russians, they were coming in to support Mack down the Danube Valley. When they heard of Mack's surrender, because he surrendered to Napoleon, uh, the Russians turned around, marched back through Vienna, and went over to Olmütz, where their main supply was coming from. Napoleon followed the Russians, took Vienna, went through Vienna, and met him there at Austerlitz. What was Archduke Charles doing? He was still in Italy. That's why in our game, I believe, and I still believe, the best chance that the Austrians or the Russians will have here is you don't pull Charles into Italy. You pull him back in the Danube, you bring his army back, and you combine him with the Russians, and you go for that one battle at Vienna, which you should have a 50% chance of winning, hopefully. Uh, I don't know if that's going to happen here, but we'll see. But that's what you're trying to do. Now, it is for that reason why I pulled Napoleon. I like that move of taking the guard and going to Innsbruck with them. And I believe that's in an old general magazine because Napoleon then watches Charles, and Charles either takes on Napoleon or he does retreat to the Danube. Anyways, that is the historical campaign. Let's see how ours turns out.
Russians lost like 4 men on their attrition, almost every hex but one. The Austrians, I don't think lost any, except here they lost 2 more, so that's 5 men they have lost just by keeping them surrounded. I haven't had to waste my men or try to attack and let them out, because I don't have the leaders to keep chasing them down and surrounding them. However, it is doing its job. It's holding down French forces there, so it's something I tried a little different instead of just attacking it on the first turn. The Russians can reach this hex with the forced march. What I'm thinking about is attacking lands, because if I can attack lands and push lands out of the way, then they can't get the outflank attack on me. All they can do is come around and attack one spot here. And then it still sets us up for another turn. That means we're going to go into January 1806, which, remember, the longer we can make this go, the better it is for the Allies. So anyways, I think we're going to attack here because it'll put the Allies in a good position. Because remember, Napoleon's out of this attack. He won't be involved in this battle. So, and this is one of the things, I'm not allowed to look at that hex and count how many men. And remember, I'm doing so many things, I don't remember how many men are there. I'm going to say he only has 5, if what I can remember. And we have 7 here with the Russians, so I say it's worth a chance. And if we lose, then we lose. I mean, or we stop, then we're fighting for, he's going to push me out of here, and I think we still fight for Vienna next turn. But if I can win this battle, he won't get to Vienna next turn. So that's my thinking. Anyways, the English decided with the Portuguese ship, leave it there. We're still blockading this, and I put 4 ships in Nelson in the water because I want to be able to get this guy intercepted easier. You get a +1 for being at sea. So that'll work with that. I put the Portuguese transport there. So I got 3 transports there. I got 5 men right now. I'm going to put 1 more. They can transport 6 men. I can get them where I need to go here. Especially if the French are afraid to move out, I can start landing. Well, let's go for that battle. Also, the French have 6 there. So it's 2, 4, 5, it's 7 to 6. 1 to 1. Leaders cancel out. Morale cancels out. Oh my gosh, what a terrible roll. Russians just got demoralized by 2. and the smaller force has 6. I think it was worth a chance. You're demoralized by 2. That means the morale is 0. So the question is, you're demoralized. You're not forced to retreat anymore. We can reinforce with more men than what's there, which would be 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so if I can reinforce with an equal or greater amount, the demoralization comes off. So I'm going to try to commit bagration. We don't get it. I'm going to try to commit leader A. We don't get it. Hiller. Hey, we get Hiller in the battle, and since he's next to him, he's good. Let's try to commit Charles with a portion of his force, at least 2 more. That way the D2 can come off. Okay, we got Charles. Charles is now in the battle with 2 more. Okay, so now that we put 4 in, the demoralization comes off. Alright, let's try to commit Devout. Oh, and we get Devout. So, Devout doesn't have to go in the hex because Hiller is committed to the battle, and Devout is next to Hiller, which made it in the battle. So it's this hex, this hex, this hex, this hex, all committed. And now it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to a 9. So the larger force, once again, is still the Russians. 4, 5, and we have to use Austrian morale. Too bad. So it's 1, Charles is 2, that's a 3, and here we get to use French morale, that's 2, and then we have leader of 2. So the larger force is the Austrians, but they have to subtract 1 off this dice. Man. Not rolling the best. That's a 5, which becomes a 4. And larger force is D1, smaller is 1. We have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So a D1 on an 8. And that's 2 forces, and since you're demoralized, 1 has to be a cavalry. The morale used was the Austrians, so I can take off all forces from the Austrians. You are a D1. You got to take off a regular French. So you are demoralized by 1. You're not at a 0. You're still good to go. Yeah, let's try bagration. We're going to stay in it. Bagration. Oh, he got it. 4, 5. Good. So bagration has to move into Charles's hex. Now bagration will take over. And we're going to try Ney. Ney gets it. Might as well try John. Should have tried John first, actually. Sorry, my bad. The attacker does all his reinforcing first. So John's in. So it's still 1 to 1. We can use Russian morale. Right? 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So it's 2, leader 2. So there's a 4. And here we have the French and a 2 leader. So it's 4. I'm going to commit a cavalry charge. So it's actually a -1. That's a 7, becomes a 6. 1 to 1. And both are losing 2. So I have to lose the cavalry. Wow, what a battle. This is a huge battle taking place, and it's not even for Vienna, and Napoleon's not involved. Leader 0 is going to go ahead and commit. And he gets it this time. Still 1 to 1. Let's -1 off this dice. 6 becomes a 5. Man, that might be a 0 for... That might be... Yeah, smaller force is 0, so I don't lose the cavalry. He's a 1, I got 10. Well, it's only 1. Not bad. And since we use the Austrian morale, they lose 1. But the battle's still going on. Anybody want to withdraw? If I just withdraw, I wait for Napoleon to come in next turn. That's what I do. So, I just had the French withdraw. Since they had more cavalry, I didn't have to lose anything extra. You know? Why keep giving these guys the fight when Napoleon's not even involved? And I got two forces here that are not engaged. So we did okay. We hurt them. We knocked them down. All right. That is the Allies' turn. It was worth a try. It was a good battle. That battle went back and forth, reinforcements, and the French didn't get hurt. It was worth a try. If we could have demoralized Lanza's force and not have to commit Charles from Vienna like we had to, it would have been a different outcome. It's worth a try because, you know, eventually the French are going to fight at Vienna. And we still have one more group of Russians that can make it, possibly. We'll see next turn. I don't know if the battle can be for Vienna. We may be able to overrun here a little bit, but basically we'll just attack this force and try to get something to attack this so they can't retreat into Vienna. That'll be the plan. It's the naval phase. Thinking about running this blockade, which I think I'm going to do. He left it, it's down to 3. One is a Portuguese. I think I'm going to try it. Let's try to run this blockade right here. Well, I guess it'd be a 6. Everything else fails, and we really don't want a 1. Just like that. So now they can initiate battle. Blockading force may attack. And you know what? We'll try one. It's 1-to-1. Morale 2. It's a +1 to the British. And they will be the larger force. Oh, and they get a 1. You got to up that to a 2. It's a 2. So now the larger force retreats, and the retreat means 1 gets damaged. And the smaller force has a D, and so one of theirs gets damaged. But the French win the battle, and the British have to retreat. And of course, I don't think it's a good idea for the French to continue and pursue. So they go to the nearest port, which is going to be right there. And this force is free to move. What we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to attack. Let's do the 1 here. Remember, I tried that earlier and I missed. But now we have 2-to-1 odds. And we subtract 1 from the dice. 5 becomes a 4. Larger force loses nothing. And we have 1 naval unit sunk on the British. So it's 2 British naval units down right now. And we freed up a Spanish. We're looking good there. We're going to continue to do this. Now we have Nelson in a quagmire. He's got this force here and this force here running around. And we still have our force there. I think it was a great idea for the coalition to attack this hex in front of Vienna, because that's what we need. To take Vienna next turn, we need that hex. So it's forcing Napoleon now to come around this side and attack over the river. It's a 50-50 battle. Great. That's all we need. I think I'm going to attack Constantine, and I think I'm going to come around and get Leader Ray, because I want 2 hexes next to Vienna, and we want to get rid of the Russian just because the morale's better, but I want to be able to support Napoleon, or any one of these, you know, that battalion cadre. We want to support the groups if they get attacked. So I'm going to move that, then I'll come back. I've already did the attrition and production phase. And one thing I've noticed, I haven't been rolling for leaders, so I think at the end of this combat phase, because you do it at the end of the combat phase, we'll start rolling for them. So there's our combat. Now remember, supplies coming from Munich. So I took whatever forces I could here with these 2 leaders. Well, actually one was F, but you know, you can move. I send F back and I get better leaders up here. But I do have 4, 5, 6. I have 6 more men coming to help at Vienna. So we're going to go ahead and do this battle first, the way I have them marked. 3rd battle will be the big one. Napoleon will use all French. Morale is 2, Napoleon is 3, so there's actually a 5. So it's actually a -1 off Napoleon, unless I commit the guard, which I may have to. I can't lose this battle, but all my losses come off the guard, which means they're probably going to die. But if I win this battle right here, I really won't need my guard. He's going to lose his guard, because that's the morale, or at least losing 50%. Or I commit the cavalry, and I have 2, 3, I have 4 cavalry. He only has 1. Yeah, let's do a cavalry charge. So a +1 for that. That is more than half, so it is 3-2 for Napoleon. And we have an 8. Large nothing, small 1. Man, those are great rolls like that. I love them. I can choose to use my regular Russian morale now and not the guard, but he still has to make another attack over the river. He still has to lose more men. I think I'm staying. I mean, what else are we going to do? We may not have any forces to fight for Vienna anymore. Yeah, I say we stay for another battle. I think we can back up, get the Russians in here and make them fight again for Vienna. Then they still got to go to Budapest. Now if I back up, he has more cavalry still, yes. And then if I choose to attack with Russians here and Napoleon, he has to reinforce. I may get a good shot at him. Yeah, let's wait for that. Let's go ahead and back up. We have to lose a guy. So we'll lose 1 Austrian. He's going to withdraw. So he goes into Vienna. We're going to have to withdraw this way. But he has more cavalry. You know what? He has more cavalry. That means he's going to die. He's demoralized. Let's subtract 1 off the dice. Let's see if he surrenders. We'll stay there. We'll make him fight him again. We can kill another French. Now his morale is 1. Leadership 1. So he has a 2. I'm at a 4. So it's a +2 to this dice. 2-1. We have 7, becomes 8, 9. Now we're at a D2. So it's a D2 anyways. Doesn't really matter. He's going to lose 1 guy, and we have to lose 1 guy. So that works out. We killed another French. That's the way we're looking around Vienna. We have to keep the cavalry back to protect supply. The only people who can do something about it is here. I mean, he has to force march twice over to try and attack that cavalry and cut Napoleon's supply. Yeah, he has to move 1, 2 over the river, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he can't get around. Okay. All right. Let's do this last one. He went inside the city. He's a 2. I'm a 3. It's 3-2. And I get a +1 to my dice. And it's a 6. +1 is a 7. At 3-2. 1-1. And that's all his job is to get to Trestis. Because now we own Naples. We own North Italy, which is Milan. We own Naples, which again, the rules always say Florence, because that's the old game stopped at Florence. But I believe now you need to have Naples. So that's 2. We need to take that, which we did, and then we need Geneva, which we have. So we own all 4. That means this group immediately, the Italian minor states immediately come pro-French. Now that gives us 3 markers there against 3 markers. There's no way for Prussia to enter this war at this time. It's too late. Prussia sees it as a losing cause. So what you got is, in the 1st September turn, there's no alliance roll. So the British couldn't bring them in. That means they got the roll in October, and they needed a 6. Because they're up by 1, because they have 3 coalition forces against 2 French. They missed. They got to roll again in November. They needed a 6. They missed. So here we are in December. It's going to be the coalition turn. And now if they roll, we just stopped it. So basically he got 2 rolls. Now, he can help that alliance roll by getting transports to move production points. But that didn't happen because we got French ships in this water. that's basically the best we can do for the alliance table with the Prussians. He got 2 rolls, he's done. There's no more worrying about Prussians coming in. So that is the French's December turn. We'll go to the coalition's turn, and we'll show you what we're going to do with England. Well, it's the December turn. The English, what are we going to do here with the Navy? I think we ought to just come out. See, I'm not allowed to look at these ships and challenge these ships. We have 3. I think I'm just going to move into this water. Now, the English can repair their damaged ship at sea, but if they intercept and get in a battle, they cannot. But I'm going to go ahead and put these in the Atlantic Ocean. And it's the rules say, once I go in there, the active player may move any ships, inactive or active, in that circle also. I'm not really sure the reason for that, but and then there's stationary interception that can take place. Well, actually, it's stationary interception, then they can move forces there. But I don't think I want to do it. I think I just want to sit there. I want to watch the ships. If the French try to do something crazy in this zone, I will intercept them and I'll have to be forced to fight them. But I'll just put them out there for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and write down, the English are going to repair their ship at sea. So the 1 production point they're going to get, well, we'll just go in order. So we'll take 1 production point down, so it's being repaired, but if it happens to get in a fight, it will lose that. It won't get repaired and it will lose that production. I think I want to keep Nelson in here. Now, staying at sea is not a problem for attrition unless you roll a 6. So, I guess that's it for the naval. Let's move on to the attrition. And as far as the attrition goes, I realized when I attacked here the last turn, it put this army out of supply, so I had to take a Russian out of there and put it here to keep them in supply. I'm going to forget things like that, trying to do everything, but that's what I would have done if I'd have realized that was going to be happening. As far as our attrition die rolls, I'll do the attrition die roll. There's going to be no alliance die roll because everything's evened up now. And I'll tell you right now, I'm just going to make the moves, and I don't see much happening here. It's only going to benefit the French if I try to attack something here. I don't have a lot of men left. There'll be 1-to-1 battles. Favors the French usually. And then if I stop attacking, he can counterattack. So it's only going to help him out. So we're just going to put everything we can right there. And the French have to fight, and hopefully they roll bad. But we'll come back after the coalition's turn is done. Well, yeah, Russians lost 1 attrition there. I decided I could have just left a guy in Olmütz, Austerlitz here for the supply, so I did. Instead of right there. Built the 2 Austrians there. The Buxhausen force reached. Lost 2 Austrians there. Hasn't worked out that bad leaving that force there, just keeping it surrounded the whole time. So it's the new year. The first thing we do is roll. Or one of the things, we're going to roll to see if there's a war. First with England. Oh, and it's a 1. Wow. So during England's next production phase, he must move from the board 4 infantry, 2 fleets, and 2 transports. That absolutely hurts them. This is what I'm telling you, though. The dice rolls are all going this way. Don't expect this to happen all the time. The second die roll needs to be a 1 for Russia. And then I'll just make sure our force pulls are right, because now every year you add to the force pulls. And remember, the English can add a ship to their force pull, even though they have 2 sunk in there already. And they haven't rolled a 6 yet on the production to help build these ships up. January turn, and we got our rolls for our people who might go to war. We found out England did. All the force pulls are correct. And I've been thinking hard about this French Navy move, and the English didn't attack last turn, and I'm sort of inclined to just sit there and do the same thing until I'm actually forced to fight. I guess we're not, and I think that my feeling for the English was the same way. And until he tries to do something, why get in a battle just for the heck of it? Uh, it's status quo right now. As time goes on for the English, they're going to build ships. The French don't have that much time to wait, but I don't have to do something right now. Like I'm thinking about tacking this port of Corona because I can get a 2-to-1 on it, but I'm going to get intercepted. When I get intercepted, it's going to be a 1-to-1 battle, and that's not a good one. So I think I'm just going to sit there for the Navy. Now, I already did the attrition rolls. There is no alliance roll, and we're going to do the production roll right now. Oh, nice. We got a 6. So everything's doubled. So the French get 2 naval points. And they actually go up to a maximum of 5, and they're going to spend 1. Did I have somebody port? No, I moved them out. So we can't repair that guy. But I'm up to 5.
Now, according to the naval rules, the campaign game, letter E, during this game, the only states which may build new naval units are England and France. So, England and France can add every year to their force pool. And of course, that's only up to the counter mix. But this is a new rule. The old game, the French were not allowed to build new naval units.
I added for the English a transport because they're going to be losing transports to that American war, and then I added a ship to the French. One thing I probably haven't been doing either is when you're at sea, you have to roll for attrition for there, and I didn't do that, so I have to roll for the French ships, and they're okay. So the French, they're going to spend 5 naval points, so they use them, and then they have an extra. They have another one because they just got 2 this turn, and they will purchase a French fleet, and it can go in any port that you want. I'm thinking of putting it right there. I'm going to add it to that. For the production was a 6. We took care of the ships. They were doubled to a 2, and now we get 6 troops. I think I want to start some stuff over here in Bordeaux. We're going to go ahead and attack here. I set up the attack for the +1. Again, I'm not allowed to look at that stack, but I'm assuming there's 10 there. This stack's with it. And I put about, I can't even remember how many I put there, but I put about 10 or 11 there too. So I'm going to attack with Napoleon. We're going to try to support right away with that. And we're going to attack Budapest, get Austria here out of the war. So the first thing we're going to try to do is get him in. We need a 5 or better. And we have a 3, 4, 5. We get that. It looked close, like it was going to be a 1. So Lanza's in, and that gives us a +1. We're going to use Charles's leadership. So he is in charge of this battle. They have a morale of 1. Charles gives them 2, 3.
No entrenchments are allowed to be built in a hex with a major city or capital.
The French are going to use the regular French morale of 2. Leadership 3 is 5, plus they did the outflank, so they have a 6. So it's a +2 to Napoleon. And it's an 8, 9, 10. Let's see what the odds were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's 1 to 1, and we have a 10. Large D1. Small D1. And large 1. A D1 with 14 is three factors. One's going to have to be a cavalry. Two have to come off of Austria. One can come off the Russians. But we're going to go all with Austria. And now they're demoralized by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have to use the smaller one. So the morale is a 0 in this army. Oh, Napoleon has to lose 2 men. We've got to take regular French off. So the morale in the army is a 0. You don't have to withdraw anymore. But you do have to roll for surrender if you decide to stay in the battle. And they are going to stay. Well, what I'm going to do, it's a lost cause. No use sitting here losing men, because it takes time to rebuild. You know, we would just fight it out to the end. I guess if you're playing a 2-player game, would you just go all the way? But you don't want to get your Russian leaders captured. Yeah, I'm going to withdraw the Russian forces. So they decide to withdraw. They take the D1 with them, and they don't have to roll for demoralization. So they're going to go to there. Charles and Hiller decide to withdraw inside the city. They can put 6 in there. They got 2, 3, 4, 5. They're inside the city with 5 with the demoralization. Well, I got to do it. So subtract 2, that's 4 men surrender. 2, 3, you have 2 men left. They're doubled in the fort. 2 to 1. It's like a +4 to this dice. Napoleon with 2 guard, 2 cavalry. That's 2, 4, and an infantry for 5. We're going to put him in Vienna. The Russians only have like 5 too. If they want to attack, go ahead and attack, because you ain't getting nothing else. And we'll take 5 with Soult. He's going to stay there. I guess Messina has to stay with him. We'll do that. Let's go ahead and attack this. They say they're in the city. They're a 4, and I'm a 4. It's 1 to 1. Now, I'd be giving Austria city points right now, but as soon as you capture their production cities, the city points go away. Austria is conquered in January 1806. And we'll follow the rules for conquered states. It's in the campaign rules of what happens to them. We can occupy any cities we want. Both sides are allowed to move through the country. We can't stay in the capitals though. So, you know, I'm going to keep Innsbruck, keep that. I will probably take over Prague also when I get there. So with Austria being conquered, you immediately remove any units that are not inside the home country to its force pool. So Mack's force and the one there that was on Ratisbon, they're in the force pool. But I do have to vacate the capitals. I have to get off them, and Austria will remain neutral until every unit in its force pool is rebuilt. Now you can see there's no Austrian units practically left here, so it's going to be a while. Now, anti-French forces and pro-French are allowed to move through Austria. You can't attack its units though, and we can't occupy the capitals. Now that leads to question, if it's a 2-player game, should we have the Russians continue to fight here? I've never done that. I've never saw the wisdom in it. I mean, if you want to keep battling here, the Russians are just going to keep losing forces. You're going to hamper some of the French forces down, but they're just going to build and build and get ready for Prussia. I really don't see that it's going to affect them. As far as the Russians, if the French just keep fighting them, I think it favors the French, because now they can beat the Prussians and still have a diminished Russian army to deal with. And there's a chance that you could be losing leaders to surrenders. So, me personally, I don't see the wisdom in that. I'd just rather get Russia back out of Austria. And if the French choose to go up there and deal with them, I don't see that as being a very smart move either, because the Russians are going to have power here. Then the French are still going to have to fight Prussia, and I really don't see the wisdom in that. I would just take the Russians a retreat, and the French, I'd get ready to attack Prussia from this direction, a little bit here, but mainly this direction. That's what I would do, and that's what I'm going to do. I don't see any point in Russia trying to stay here and fight Napoleon. So that's what's going to happen here. So the Austria marker goes in the neutral spot. And now the French are one up on the alliance table. Now unfortunately, because of the new rules, they're not allowed to roll for Russia or Prussia at this time, or even Denmark yet. We're just going to start getting troops built here to get ready for Spain and get ready for Prussia. And hopefully our Navy still goes good. And I must say, the first 6 months of this game, I couldn't have gone any better for the French. It's going very well. The rolls have been going my way, or I say mine. I am trying to win as the French, but when I play the English, I try to do the best I can. If I were the English, I like playing England on all kinds of war games because I like the Navy. So this really gives me practice of dealing with the French player. If I'm playing against someone else and they're jacking me up in the water like they are now, I need the English to take charge here. The French were able to build a ship already, and the English have not.